Welcome back to the party package, soon to be called something else. But we have today the big news over the last night is Calgary is keeping Jonathan Huuberdeau for quite a while, 8 years by $10.5 million, which equals $84 million. Good job out there. If you got that one right, you get a Thin Mint. So, this is a pretty good contract. I think this is exactly the contract that Jonathan Huuberdeau probably earns. Well, this is what I would put him at, is 10.5. I feel like 12 is what Connor McDavid makes. But 11 to 12 is that's like Austin Matthews. This is like franchise player level money. I feel like 10.5, like 10 million to 11 is like superstar, but not like game changing. And I feel like that's exactly where Huuberdeau is. However, I don't know. I'm interested to see what he can produce on a team like the Calgary Flames. So the thing that I have to question here is this a good move on both ends? I think it is, but it's an odd choice. So personally for me, if I was Jonathan Huuberdeau after playing so many years in Florida and showing that I'm a solid player, but I'm stuck on this terrible team, and finally, they become good and they become superstar, they win the President's Trophy, they're obviously like cup potential through the roof right now. Finally, I've worked so hard to stay on this team, and we've made it finally to be superstars, and then they just trade me away for a younger guy who's actually still pretty good as well. I would want, in my next contract, to sign to a team that is going to finally give me the playoff success that I'm hoping for. And I don't think he's going to find that in Calgary, mainly because they're so tight cap-wise, and this contract isn't helping the situation. They still are not recovering from their offensive losses in Tkachuk and Gaudreau. Sure, Huuberdeau is a replacement for Tkachuk or Gaudreau, whoever you type of player he thinks he is. I guess his name's in Dro, like Gaudreau, so whatever. Anyways, so they still are missing that offensive other winger that they've lost in the offseason. Of course, they have Uyghur, so their defense is pretty solid. But I feel offensively, I don't think Jonathan Huuberdeau is going to have a 115-point season. However, I could be wrong, because back here in 2018 to 2019 with Florida, when they were still not very good, he showed that he can get 92 points. Now, of course, 61 points, 71 points, that's kind of bad because he was injured for almost half the seasons. So that's kind of whatever. But 61, 78 points is still pretty good for almost missing half a season of hockey. So Huuberdeau shows that he can produce. But I don't know if he's going to have the same. He's not going to have the same supporting cast as he did in Florida at all. I mean, you're leaving Barkov. I mean, I know Giroux was a rental, but Giroux was not there anymore, so I guess whatever. But Verhaeghe, Duclair, Hornquist, Reinhart, you got so many so talented players in Florida with such a cast. But will he be able to do the same thing in Calgary? And he's going to go on the top line, so he'll play with Lindholm and probably Toffoli. Will Toffoli and Lindholm be good enough to bring him to that same level of play? Personally, I don't think so. I think Tyler Toffoli, I feel like his name got a lot of value when he got first moved away and he got like hat tricks against his old team or whatever when that happened a couple years ago. But really, if you look at it, he's only gotten 50-something points, and he's not, I think his name is exaggerated in my mind at least. And Lindholm, I feel like, is a guy that was completely supported from the fact that he had Gaudreau and Tkachuk playing next to him, and he was propped up in the stats, and he had 82 points, which is pretty good, and I still think he is a good player, but I think without two superstars surrounding him, I would say he's probably like a 60 points player. It's just he was playing with one of the most skilled players in the league in Gaudreau, and one of the best all-around players in Tkachuk. And he was in the middle of those two guys. I mean, talk about being helped by your peers. So I don't know if Huuberdeau is going to be able to have that same type of support in Lindholm and Toffoli. And I would say, well, let's just go after one more superstar guy to fill in that left or right wing role, whichever. And I would say great idea, but they only have $2 million in cap space, so they can't sign someone, so they can't go after like a Kadri or something. And also like I don't really know who you would move out to get that type of person back. Personally, for me, if I was the GM of the Flames, I would have instead went after Uyghur. I would have wanted Reinhart or one of their other offensive guys in return, so then I would have been able to replace Gaudreau and Tkachuk in one trade. But instead, they go with Uyghur, which they already had a good defense, but whatever. So I think it's a good move. Now, the question is still, like, what about Mackenzie Weegar? He needs a contract, too. It's going to be interesting to see. Personally, I see this as the right contract, but the wrong team. Do they make it to the playoffs with Huuberdeau and Weegar? I think, of course. But are they going to find that success that I would personally want if I was Huuberdeau with the Flames and the team that's surrounding him right now? I don't think so. Especially when you've got teams like the Golden Knights in your same division. Even if you have teams like the Edmonton Oilers. If you've got teams, even if you get past them in the Colorado Avalanche or the St. Louis Blues or even the Wild. And then if you somehow make it to the finals, you got to deal with like the Rangers, the Hurricanes, and of course the Lightning. This is not the team that is going to beat those guys. And of course they can keep players around, especially since they have them for 8 years. They can put people in instead because people's contracts like Monahan and Lucic's contracts are coming to an end this next season. So maybe next year they can finally do something about their offense. But I don't know what player they could bring in because you got to find someone to bring in. It's easier to bring someone up from the minors than bring in someone from outside because then you got to give stuff up. Well, what from this team do you give up to get a star player? I mean, let's just give the name like Patrick Kane out there because he's in Taze because those guys are the main people wanting to get traded away, right? Well, maybe, whatever. And what do you give up to bring those guys in? Well, apparently Chicago's willing to take anything right now. They will take nothing to just get rid of their players. But what do you give up on this team? You going to give up Lindholm? Well, then you just have the same problem. You're just going to get the same thing back, and then you're not going to be really getting better. So it's a weird move. It's a good contract. I think it's the wrong team, and I don't really think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to pay out successfully. I think it's going to be fine, but it's not going to be incredible. And I guess we'll see where this plays out. But I guess till next time, please pick up your free subscription down below by hitting that red subscribe button. If you like this video, leave a like and a dislike down below to the comments. And leave any comments, concerns, suggestions, reviews, or other tales of tangents, opinions, and rants. And tell me, what do you think about this deal? Do you think this is the right move for both sides, or do you think, like me, I would have wanted to sign somewhere else and try to win a cup with a team that might have better chances of winning a Stanley Cup? But that's really all I have to say. Until next time, I've been Owen. Too sweet, and ta-ta for now.